Welcome to another episode of the Marta podcast. I am super excited to just dive into today's funny, humorous episode with this amazing guest, Joel Zeff. I think you're completely gonna love this episode and fall in love with his expression of bringing humor to life and finding your fun. You're gonna learn why fun is such a pivotal moment in the work life and why it fuels our passion to doing things. I love this quote that he said, you have to have fun. When you're young especially, and I love this, that Joel really focused on the target audience, which is you, college students, aspiring entrepreneurs, just early professionals in their career, high school students, as far young as even high school students, to really tell you that no matter what you do, fun can reduce stress. It will help you be a more exemplary leader, as it can even help or improve the way we look at life every single day. Stay tuned really halfway across the episode. I bet that he will shock you with this amazing trick or story that he will share with you. Please share this episode with someone who just could use a laugh or could use seeing their day with a little more fun, with a little more positivity. And now that you have gone ahead and did that, let's introduce today's guest, Joel Zeff. Joel is a dynamic speaker, work culture expert, an improvisational humorist, and author who has spent more than 2 decades, and to be precise, 25 years inspiring audiences with his unique blend of comedy and business insight. As the author of Make the Right Choice, Joel teaches that success often hinges on the choices we make, choosing creativity, passion, and positivity in both our personal and professional lives. Keynotes. Through his engaging keynotes and interactive improvisation, he demonstrates how celebrating small wins can drive collaboration, innovation, and productivity. Joel's journey has taken him from newspaper journalism and corporate communications to captivating audiences at over 2,500 events for companies like Wells Fargo, Samsung, and even the IRS. His infectious energy and hilarious onstage moments remind us that success isn't just about strategy. It's about embracing fun and passion along the way. Now, if you're ready to learn the basics of how Joel approaches making the right choices, finding joy at work, and fostering a positive and creative work culture, I present to you this episode. Joel Zeff, welcome on the Marta podcast.
Thank you for having me. This is I've done a bunch of podcasts. This is my first that originates in Romania. So this is probably my favorite podcast. We haven't even started. I'm just going to tell you right now, this is already my favorite podcast.
Already your favorite podcast?
Already.
Well, that's a great place to start. Yeah. Amazing. I cannot wait to talk.
Don't tell the others. Don't tell the other podcast hosts.
I won't. It's okay. Your secret's safe with me. Joel, you're a keynote speaker, a humorist, a businessman. You've worked successfully with companies like Walmart, KPMG, and PepsiCo. I wanted to start the podcast with you talking directly with a listener. So if you could go ahead and do that, what are the key 3 things that they will learn if they take to heart everything that you will share today?
Well, I like it. We're going to give a quick summary and then we're going to get into the interview.
Let's go.
So I think I want to focus on passion, finding your passion in your career or work, and how to seek that out and not being afraid to take that risk. Mm-hmm. I want to talk about being happy in your career and being excited about what you're doing. And I also want to talk about the choices that we make to be successful, how important it is to stay in the game and be more present and in the moment and create opportunity and positive support for the people around us. And so the important choices that we can make as individuals when we face change and disruption, when we're in situations that are difficult or tough or stressful, or situations in our career as we move. I know you have a lot of young listeners kind of starting their career or thinking about their career, and so I want to talk about kind of navigating that journey. I think I said more than 3 things.
You just hit the right spot there, and you're anyways going to dive deeper into what you mean by all of these 3, let's say, broad statements there, bold statements for the younger ones. I cannot wait to find out what you mean by these. And I hope that I'm going to laugh. If not, I'm already sure that I will. And I think the listener will as well. So prepare yourself for an absolutely hilarious episode.
That's a lot of pressure.
Well, you're on the spotlight. Here we go.
I know. I better bring it.
So I notice for the people listening right now that you've got a book, your own book, Make the Right Choice, behind you right now. And I want to take you on that topic firstly. So Make the Right Choice. Talk to me about it as if you were trying to persuade the listener as to why they had to read it. Why is it so important? But here's the challenge. Here's the twist. You only have 1 minute. And this is a smart podcast tradition. Talk to me for 1 minute why young people should read your book, why you think it can make an impact. Whenever you're ready.
Okay, 1 minute. Ready? Are you timing me? Are you ready?
I'm timing you. All right. 3, 2, 1.
So my book is a fun, engaging love letter to my career to help others find passion in what they do and find happiness in their work, and also discover that having fun at work is a guiding light. And when it is that guiding light, it fulfills us and it rewards us, and that's what brings us joy. That was really good. I think I was under a minute.
You were under a minute. That was really good. It's like you already prepared.
I don't know. I'm just coming up with stuff.
You're amazing. What can I say?
Yeah.
All right. I love that. Now that you successfully completed the challenge, and I think that was 40 seconds or even less, talk to me about, since this book emphasizes the importance of leading with passion and infusing fun into the workplace, like you just said, why do you think fun and positivity play such a crucial role when it comes to leading effectively?
I think it fuels our passion, and fun means something different to everyone. And I think people can get confused and think when I say fun, we're going to do comedy and we're going to put on silly hats and, sure, that's fun. It's always fun to see your manager dress up, like a Roman emperor or an Olympian or a race car driver. Sure, that's fun. But fun is different. My fun is going to be different than your fun. It's going to be different than someone else's fun. We have to figure out what is our fun, what's going to fulfill us, what's going to make us happy, what's going to energize us. And that's our guiding light for work. And if we don't have fun, that's dreary. And it's not like, oh, I'm at my peak. I'm at where I want to be. My first job when I was a teenager, I worked in a movie theater. I picked up people's trash. I cleaned the popcorn machine. I cleaned the hot dog machine. I smelled like popcorn all the time because when you clean a popcorn machine, you smell like popcorn 24/7. And so, I also was making very little money, probably below minimum wage, which I'm not exactly sure. This was in the 90s. I'm not exactly sure how they got away with it, but that's the part of the story. But I learned at that early age that you have to have fun no matter what your job is. No matter how hard you're working, no matter what the job is. Yeah, do I really want to pick up people's trash? No, but that's my job. And if I'm not going to have fun with it, what a dreary, dark existence. And so I figured out how to have fun, to create energy with my coworkers, with the people around me, with the situation that lifted my spirits and that allowed me to be the best at what I was doing. And as I moved through my career, and I was a newspaper journalist, and then I went into advertising and marketing, worked for a couple agencies, and found my way to be a speaker. And I have loved each and every stop. I love what I do. But that fun is the driving, it's the guiding light. And so we should have fun no matter what we are doing because it fuels our passion. And when we have that fuel, we're going to be a better leader, a better teammate, a better communicator, a better innovator. And our stress is going to reduce. Our frustrations are going to reduce. And we're going to enjoy the process, enjoy the learning, enjoy the journey. And I think that's very important for young people to hear. You're not where you start is not where you're going to end up. It's not where you're going to finish. It's a long journey, and you're going to learn something at each stop. And you cannot get to where you want to go without going at each of those stops. And you're going to have failures and you're going to have mistakes, but you're going to learn valuable lessons that are going to help you move forward and get to where you want to be.
Absolutely. And I think leading with this passion, leading with fun, at the end of the day, as you just said, doesn't only lower your stress, but I think a true quality of an exemplary leader leads to driving people to see that you've got that passion, that they can then as well see that there's fun to it, that it's something that they can look forward to when they wake up in the morning. And that I think not only will help them think more clearly, but they will go to work with this positivity that let's take on today, no matter what challenges present or are presented today. And they will, at the end, just enjoy what their work and possibly come up with even better, brighter, bigger ideas.
And I have a lot of clients that have told me they hire based on attitude. There's certain jobs that you have to have experience. If you want to be an airline pilot, you have to have the training to be an airline pilot.
Of course.
But there's a lot of jobs that are hired based purely on attitude. And the company says, I'm going to train you. I can train you in what I want you to do in customer service or sales or marketing, but I cannot train your attitude. You come with that attitude, whether that attitude is going to be positive and supportive and helpful and understanding and an attitude that has energy, that wants to learn, that wants to help those around us. And that's a big foundation message in improv, which we haven't gotten there yet, but we're going to talk about that, is that we help the people around us be successful. That's the question we have to ask. And when we answer it, and we know what people around us need to be successful, the hard part is to act on it. And that's what really separates the great organizations. If we want to be a great leader, it's asking that question, how do I help the people around me be successful? Answering the question and acting on it, and not worrying about what's in it for me or what's going to come back and how that's going to help me. It will come back. But the goal is to help the people around us be successful.
The goal is to help the people around us to be successful. I just wanted to repeat that because I think it's very impactful, and the listener can go ahead and let that sink in, because I want to go deeper into your book, specifically in the contents. And what I mean by that is I've had a chance to look at it, flip through it, read it, and I have to say it's absolutely taken me on a journey, made me laugh, made me know more about you as a person and your habits and your practices that you've learned over time. But I wanted to tell you and talk to you about the 6 sprinkles on the leadership cupcake, which I think is so funny and something so memorable and easy to get the grasp of. Could you share what those 6 sprinkles are and how they contribute to building not only strong, but effective teams?
Well, I love the concept. I had a client once, I can't take credit for the sprinkles on the cupcake. I had a client once told me that the cupcake and what the sprinkles are and what the cupcake, and it was a client, it was a leader, and they had this thing called skit night. And skit night was at their annual event. And so each region would have to put on a little skit for the rest of the rest of the group. And so all different people from the organization would contribute to this skit, and they would have, they would dance, and they would have like lip sync, and they would do video, and it was super goofy, super silly, but it was awesome. And I was talking to the CEO, and he said, the cupcake, the skit night is just the sprinkles, is just the extra little something. The cupcake, what we're really after, is the time that everyone spent together on something that is work related, but really outside of work. Because what happens is they bond, they learn how to respect each other, they work together and have fun, and all those tools are going to be useful the next time they have a disruption, an obstacle, a challenge, that they all are going to have to work together to find a result, to find a answer, a solution. And so all those skills that they're building on skit night, they're going to translate to the work. And that's what That's what the cupcake is. And the sprinkles are just a little something extra. And I'm going to grab the book.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to grab the book, and the sprinkles on the cupcake. And I love talking about leadership. What chapter was that? The sprinkles on the cupcake. What chapter was that? Was chapter 4. We should go right to chapter 4 right now and see. I want to make sure that I say all the sprinkles, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we talk about, all the different items that make a great leader, right? And we mentioned helping each other be successful, but it's also about being present with your team, being in the moment with your team. And when we are present in the moment, we understand, we have that connection. And that connection is vital, because how do we know what people need to be successful if we're not listening, if we're not really present with our team? And so being present in the moment is a key aspect. It's also about how we have to create opportunity for each other. And I think that is when we create that opportunity and we match it with positive support and you put those two things together, it's amazing what people can accomplish. And those are the two things that we all want out of our jobs. Whether this is your first job, this is your job during school, this is you've been at a career for 20 years, we want opportunity. And I don't know what that is. Your opportunity is going to be different than mine. You might want the opportunity for more training. You might want the opportunity for a different responsibility, or to have a mentor, or the opportunity to go to a conference. But then we all want positive support. And when you put those two things together, it's amazing what people can accomplish. And if we don't receive those two things, we're not very happy. We'll come to work every day, but mentally, bye-bye, we're gone. Bye-bye, bye-bye. But we all know bye-bye people. Bye-bye people don't care, right? Bye-bye people don't care about the client, the customer, the brand, the goal. We meet bye-bye people all the time. They're not very helpful.
No, they're not.
Eventually, bye-bye people are going to leave the company. They're going to go work someplace else because they figure out they're not happy. But as leaders, we have to create that opportunity and positive support. And for your listeners, and I know, again, you have a lot of young listeners just starting out, you have to demand it. If you're not receiving opportunity and positive support, you have to say to your manager, this is what I need to be happy. This is what I need to be at my best. And if you don't receive opportunity, positive support, that's a big clue. You're in the wrong place. And I promise, someone across the street wants an energized, excited, passionate team member, and they're going to want to give you opportunity and positive support, because that's what every company is looking for. Just someone that is passionate and energized.
Absolutely.
We covered a lot. That was a lot. That was a big answer.
But it answered my question, because in the end, taking initiative, if the opportunity doesn't present itself, I feel like it's so valuable, and
right.
It can actually open way more doors than you thought you had the access to when you put your mind to it. And I want to take you now onto a different place.
Okay.
I made my research. So I looked you up on YouTube before the recording today. And there's this speaker reel that you have. What I'm trying to get by is the TADA mindset.
Yes.
And
do you say TADA in
TADA?
Romania? Do you say in Romania?
I do.
Do you say
TADA? Now I did twice. There we go. We already started off. I love the concept of celebrating little successes and taking accountability that actually every single day we accomplish, even though they're tiny obstacles, something that sits in our way, small steps that lead to possibly something greater that at the start we could have thought is insurmountable, perhaps. And I also love how you sign off every email with TADA. I feel like it's so impactful. I love how you implement it into your everyday life, the philosophy and how it stands for it. Can you explain what the TADA mindset is and how it can transform the way that we work and the way that we lead?
Sure. So TADA in the US, that's just our phrase that we use. It's a flourish. It's a celebration. Like a magician does his trick and they go, ta-da! Or, somebody does a show and there's always a ta-da, and it's spelled differently, but it's always the end. It's the flourish. It's the celebration. And every country has a word that they use, when somebody does something great and they celebrate. And TADA is the word we use in the US. And when my kids were younger, they're older now. I have an 18 and a almost 22-year-old. So around your age. And so when they're little, when they do something, we TADA, right? They eat their whole sandwich. And we're like, you ate your whole, TADA, you did it,
Celebrate,
right?
yeah.
Or they walk for the first time. You're like, TADA. They go to the bathroom for the very first time. That's a big TADA, right?
That's a big one, yeah.
That's a big TADA. And so, as we get older, we still have great moments. Everything in our life when we're younger is a TADA moment. Everything. Our parents celebrate. I know your parents did. Celebrated everything that you did. And it was awesome. And what happens when we celebrate that for a child? They build their confidence. They get a big smile on their face. They're excited. They just did something. They're not sure exactly what they did sometimes, but they're excited about it. And whatever we're celebrating, they're going to do more of because we're building their confidence. We're giving them that positive support. So we get older and all of a sudden we're not doing TADAs anymore. Maybe once a year, we work for a company and somebody gives assistant manager of the year. It's like a pointy glass award. We have a chicken dinner, and so they give out awards. But most of our existence, we don't celebrate anymore. And I don't think that's right at all. I think we have to celebrate all of these moments because celebration will fuel our passion, will fuel what we're doing. And, when's the last time we went to the bathroom by ourselves and walked out and went, ta-da, I did it. I washed my hands. This is a big deal for all of us at one time in our life. And so that ta-da is important. And it's about celebrating our successes. And when I speak in my keynotes, the first thing that we do is we get the whole audience to stand up and we do a big ta-da because we're just celebrating being together. And it's really talking about making sure we take these little moments each and every day that we think are just regular moments of our lives, regular moments of our work, and celebrate. When you take care of your customer, when you write something that you're really proud of, that when you just all these little moments, because they add up to our success. And if we don't have these little moments, then we can't get to the big moment. So we should celebrate all these little moments, not just the big moment. And it fuels us. It energizes us, and it's important.
I love that. And I want to take it even deeper to the 5 secrets of the TADA. Number 1 is we want to feel appreciated. Number 2 is we also want to feel respected. Number 3, recognized. Number 4, triumphant. And lastly, number 5, we all want a nice surprise. Yeah. Now, these statements, them alone, can feel like some of them are instantly obvious, some not so much. Talk to me about these 5 secrets of the TADA, let's say, mindset theory, and why they're so important.
Well, I think they're important because, again, it's about positive support. And I have a job where I get a round of applause. Think about that. I do my job as a speaker. I get people clap at the end. Most people don't have a job where people clap at the end. Yeah. When I worked in public relations, nobody applauded. When I worked at an ad agency, certainly when I was a newspaper reporter, nobody ever applauded. Sometimes they called me up and called me names, but nobody ever gave me applause. So it's pretty awesome. And just because you have a job that does not receive a round of applause, you should. And that's really what that TADA celebration is and what that positive support and that round of applause is about. Saying that we're here, we deserve that appreciation, we deserve that respect, we're excited and triumphant to be here. It's a flourish, it's important because, again, we have to have that fuel. That fuel is so important to our passion and to what we do. And, one of the things that I like to talk about when I talk to young people is that you have to figure out what is going to make you happy, what is going to fulfill you in your work. And when you answer that question, you're going to be surprised. You're going to be surprised by the answer. What it is that we all want more money, that's a given. But what is that happiness that's really going to fulfill us? And, if you really think about what you would do, what job you would do, and you don't care if you get paid, you would do it for free. And if you focus on that, and that's your guiding light, you're going to be very happy. And that's kind of what I did and how I figured out. And it was that TADA and the positive support was a big part of all of that. I loved improv. We haven't talked about that yet. And so when I went on my own doing PR and marketing and advertising, I was speaking occasionally, but I was doing improv on the weekends. And I loved it. I was passionate about it. And I figured out this is the direction. I didn't know how I was going to make it my career at that moment, but I knew that if I followed that path and I believed in it and I didn't care if I got paid. And when I first started speaking, I didn't get paid. Mm-hmm. I did it because I loved it. And I tell clients all the time, the time I'm on stage is free. I don't charge, but I do charge to be away from my family and to travel and to be on an airplane next to someone who's sick and gets me sick. That's what I charge for. Mm-hmm. The time on stage is free. I love that because it's what my passion is. And my suggestion always to young people is to figure out what they would do for free and follow that path, because I promise you there's an industry that is wrapped around whatever you like to do for free. There's an industry, there's a job, there's a way to do that, no matter what it is, I promise.
And I think that if you have such a deep-rooted passion for something that you do, whatever that might be, there has to be at least one other person that is interested in that thing that you have a passion for. I can tell you're all into talking about improv, so that's where I'm finally going to take you next.
We're going to talk about improv? What?
Absolutely.
Okay, I'm ready.
Let's go. I'm going to take you back to YouTube because it has been my main platform, and I've also listened to a couple of other podcasts that you've been on previously. You were born in Kansas, and when you first got to Dallas, I remember that on your first weekend, I don't remember if it was a group of friends, but you got introduced the idea to this concept of improvisational comedy.
Yes.
Your favorite chapter in your book is also chapter 2. And my question for you now is, why do you think having a tone of comedy through life, being a little humorous in our daily life and knowing to not take everything personally is so important?
Well, improv taught me a great deal, and it's given me a lot. And you're right. The first weekend I moved to Dallas, I was a newspaper reporter. I worked for one of the newspapers that was here in Dallas. And some friends took me to an improv comedy show. And it was a lot like the movies where the music, something happens to the main character and all of a sudden the music goes, oh! It was a lot like that. And there's like the light changes around the main character and the music goes, oh! It was a lot like that. And if it was animated, it would be like animated birds flying around me. It was a magical moment. I was drawn to it. It was a love, it was an excitement, and it was a really pivotal moment in my life. And I remember it very well. And this is 1991. So it's a long time ago. Mm-hmm. long time ago. And so, so it was an improv show. And for your listeners, if they've never seen an improv show, there's no script, there's no plan, there's no rehearsal. Everything's happening for the first time right on stage. Sometimes it's a long form improv, so they're doing a whole play and it's all improvised. And sometimes it's short form where it's just these very short games and there's some kind of prompt that creates the game, and so everything is improvised. And the show I was seeing was a short form, and it was magical. It was amazing, and I was an audience volunteer. And I remember the moment. I have a photo. I had these huge glasses. I looked a mess, but whatever. And so they offered workshops, and I'm like, what? They offer workshops. And my job at the newspaper was tough. I knew very quickly that I jumped on board the Titanic right as it was leaving the dock. So, you have that moment where you get a job and you're like, I think I'm on the Titanic.
Yeah.
And I was. And it hit the iceberg 6 months after I joined, the paper closed. 6 months after I moved to Dallas, it closed. And and that's chapter 2 in the book about losing their job. And we can talk about that if you want. And I have the chapters about a magic harmonica, and I have my magic harmonica. So if you want, and I'm just teasing. I'm teasing it.
All right.
So I took a workshop and I loved it. And then eventually I auditioned and joined the troupe and performed. And it was just incredible what improv taught me about teamwork and creativity and innovation and leadership and how to embrace change and communication. All these very important choices that allow us to be successful at work. And that's really what the book is about. All the choices that improv taught me, these very important choices that we have to learn and be skilled at to be great at what we do, to be a great leader, a great teammate, or to find passion in our career. And that's what the book really is about. That's my other 1-minute summary for the book.
Perfect. There we go. You have 2 plot
I got 2. You have 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So chapter 2 talks about how celebrating small wins can drive collaboration, innovation, and productivity. You have your little magic harmonica over there. And go ahead and talk to me about chapter 2 and this mystery around the magic harmonica.
So I lost my job, and I think everybody's going to lose their job eventually, right? I mean, I don't see how you can work for a long time without you're going to get laid off.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to hopefully you don't get fired, but you're going to get fired. Something's going to happen. You're going to lose your job. That's just how life is. And so I had moved to Dallas to work for this newspaper, and it closed 6 months after I joined. So that was kind of a tough situation. And it was a tough job. And so they called me on a Sunday and they said, tomorrow's the last paper. You've lost your job. Come clean out your desk. So that's a pretty monumental phone call. And, you would think that would create a lot of stress. Like, oh my gosh, how I just lost my income. I lost my job. I just moved here. Wow. But really, for me, I say it's one of the best days of my life because it put me on a different path and it released a lot of stress because that was a tough, difficult job. And so as I was leaving my small 1-bedroom apartment and I grabbed this harmonica, and this harmonica I bought at university, and I guess I saw a lecture and it was a harmonica player. I don't know. I don't remember that part of the story. I just remember buying this in college. Had some cash in my pocket and it was a harmonica. So, and this is not a normal situation, Sonia. I don't grab my harmonica and walk out the door. And so I don't know why I did it. I really don't. And so I go down to the newspaper to clean out my desk, and everybody has a range of emotions. Angry, they're confused, sadness, disappointment. Everybody just lost their job. Some people had been working there for years, decades. I had just been there for 6 months. I'm just a young kid, didn't really know what he was doing or where he was going. And so I found myself on the back loading dock, and the media had congregated, like radio stations, TV stations, other newspapers, to cover the end of the newspaper. And I don't know why I brought my magic harmonica. I didn't plan this out. But all of a sudden, there's the media, and I pull out my magic harmonica. And if you can notice, I'm actually kind of tone deaf, and I'm not very good. But it sounds like I am, right?
It sounds like you're amazing.
Sounds like I know what I'm doing.
Absolutely.
That's part of the harmonica. I don't know. So I can do one blues note, right? Are you familiar with the blues? So the blues is about sadness and something bad happened. And it's an American music form. And it was created really about, it's something bad happened. Sad. There's no happy blues songs. It's about sadness. And so I can do that one note. Bum, 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 bum. And so the media's there, and I started doing a little blues song. I said, I got no money. I just lost my job. They said, clean out your desk. They said, take all your stuff. You got no job. You got no money. It's all over. But in 35 years, you're going to be on the Marta podcast. I don't know if I sang that. We don't have an actual record. I might have sang that. I don't know.
Wow, that sounds absolutely amazing.
So I was singing the newspaper blues. And what happened was the TV stations, you could hear, it's like the movies. You could hear the cameras go. You could hear them focus because this is something different. They're expecting people to be sad and angry. I'm giving them something different. So what do we like to focus on? We like to focus on what's unique. We like to focus on what's different. And so that's then we're all together at a party, not a party, like a wake, because we all lost our jobs. And we turn on the news and there's me playing the harmonica, the newspaper blues, to kick off the broadcast, not on one channel, but two channels. And then on a newspaper, there's a huge picture of me. It was all over. And this is 1991. This is before social media. So I'm going viral before there's viral. And the other stations are picking it up across the country, and friends across the country, they go, "Did we see you play the harmonica?" I go, "Yeah, that was me." And so what did the magic harmonica teach me? It taught me to be confident in my skills, that I don't control change. I only control how I react to change. So I don't control that I lost my job. I only control how I react to it. And if I react to it in a positive way, in a confident way, that's going to help me move forward for my next steps. So to be confident in my ability, to believe in myself, to focus on the good, to be happy, and focus on what still makes me happy. I didn't lose any of that. I just lost where I worked. And so the harmonica really taught me a great deal. And I focus on it in the second chapter. And I always say that's my favorite chapter because it really put me on a journey. Because I lost my job and I had free time. And I started doing stand-up comedy. I started focusing more on improv comedy and then joined the comedy troupe at that time. And that's really where my focus. So if that didn't happen, then maybe I don't start doing stand-up or I don't join the improv comedy troupe. And then one of my clients asked me to do improv before their event. And then the light bulb flickers on and then I start speaking and I create a career and write this book. And then I'm on the Marta podcast. Maybe all that doesn't happen without that magic harmonica moment. Mm-hmm. That was a lot. That was a lot, wasn't it? That was a lot. I kind of went off.
Absolutely. You left me speechless. I loved it. It was not a lot. You took me on this journey.
It's too much.
Ups and downs. Absolutely no.
Okay.
It was amazing. It was just the sweet spot. I love the way you expressed yourself, the magic harmonica moment, and how that taught you to be not only confident, but how you react. You can not only control what happens. You do not have control over that, but you do have control over how you react to change.
Mm-hmm. And it taught me to be me, right? That's me. Me is going on the back dock, playing the harmonica and being silly. And I think that's really discovering who I really was and what I was focused on and what really made me happy. And you know what's funny is when I was playing the harmonica, somebody came and they grabbed my elbow and they made me stop playing the harmonica. And I can't see that person. I've lost that memory. I don't know if it was a man or a woman. I have no idea. And they made me stop. I don't know why. And they said, "You will never work in this town again." That's a direct quote, like a movie. I've said that several times. I've had several moments in my life where it's like a movie, and it's like a film noir, like a Humphrey Bogart movie. Have you seen those old gangster black and white movies? Like someone's smoking a cigarette and they're like, "You're never going to work in this town again, kid." That was someone actually said that to me, which I'm very proud. I wear that as a badge. I'm very proud of that. Not everybody not everybody has someone say that to them. Like, "You'll never work in this town again." I'm pretty
very impactful.
They were so wrong.
And you're proving them wrong with every day that goes by.
Yes. I really wish. If I had a time machine, I would go back just to see who that person was and go find them on Facebook or whatever.
Show them your whole journey and everything that you've accomplished so far.
Yeah.
And I think this is, in a nutshell, making the right choice, how you make the right choice, which is where I want to focus on. The idea of this choice being fun passion is a choice, happiness is a choice, is one idea that you stand strongly upon. And my question now to you, Joel, is how can individuals consciously make that choice, especially when facing stressful or unpleasant or challenging situations in their work life or in school?
It is knowing that it's always your choice, right? We just mentioned about you don't control the change. Something happens, somebody says something, something does something, somebody makes a mistake, something breaks, something didn't work out, somebody said no. I don't control that. I only control how I react to it. And so what's my choice? And it's being confident and realizing that that choice is always going to be yours. When you wake up in the morning, you can choose to be frustrated and impatient and negative, or you can choose to be happy and energized and passionate and understanding. One's going to be a way better day. Because if you really think about it, I don't think people really wake up in the morning and they eat breakfast and they get dressed and they go, man, you know what? Today I'm going to be really hard to deal with. I'm gonna be really frustrated. I'm gonna shoot down everyone's ideas. I'm gonna be hard to work with. I'm gonna whine a lot. If I can, I'm gonna take somebody's muffin out of the break room. I'm gonna eat their breakfast. That doesn't make sense, right? But what happens is we do get frustrated. We do get impatient. We do become negative. Why would you choose that? You're not choosing that. You're letting the change choose. And the change, if you give that choice to change, it's going to choose frustration and stress. Why would I eat breakfast and go, man, I'm stressed. I'm frustrated. Let's go. I'm going to be at my best. This is going to rock. Doesn't make sense. You're letting change choose. Change made you frustrated or stressed or impatient. And if you fight back and you realize that you have the choice, that change is going to happen. Disruption is going to happen. Things are going to happen that you don't like. Things are going to happen that are going to be tough, and you're going to come across situations that are difficult, but you get to choose how you get through it, how you deal with it. And I think you're going to be at your best if you choose to be patient and understanding, if you choose to be happy and supportive and helpful. I think it's going to be a better choice. You're going to deal with the same disruption, the same change. And improv is about embracing change. Change is going to happen, right? If there's no script, there's no rehearsal. I have no idea what the people around me are going to say or do. It's my choice in how I react to it to make sure that it's positive and it moves the story. And so we take that to our work and to our lives, and we have to embrace change is going to happen. There's never going to be a day where we're all done changing. It's done. We finished. Like, well, that just opens up the whole day, doesn't it? We're going to have change and disruption, and it's how we embrace it and how we're open and flexible. I think that's important. We have to be open and flexible, and we have to be prepared. We have to be prepared for change.
Absolutely. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, the way that you expressed this idea made me instantly think back to one practice that I saw with you bringing 3 people, I don't know if they were from the audience, up on stage and making them finish each other's sentences, start one sentence. And there was this particular sentence that went somewhat along the lines of, leadership is a, and each person would say a word and they would finish each other's sentences. Is this one way that you teach people to adapt to change and how it can lead you to fun and unexpected places?
Yes. Also, I'm very proud of you for doing your research. Sometimes I speak to podcast hosts. They have no idea who I am, what I do. They've never watched any video, and I'm very impressed. So you are the best podcast. This is the best podcast interview I've had. And we're not even done yet. We're not even done.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. So I'm going to tell everybody else. I'm like, you're not as good as Sonia.
Thank you so much.
And so the game is called Know It All.
Know It All.
And they were audience volunteers. And the object of the game, they're a 3-headed person. Each head can only say one word at a time. And so the audience will ask questions, and they will answer that question because they're the smartest person in the world. They're know-it-all. And so they're going to answer that question one word at a time. And so the secret is you have to be really open and flexible because you have no idea what word's coming before or word's coming after. What it really, you just need to follow the word that preceded it and keep it going and be a really good listener. And we mentioned both those points. Being a good listener means being prepared, being present in the moment, being open and flexible to what word's coming at them, react, say a word to keep the sentence going. And when everybody takes ownership and takes responsibility, they find success as a team. And for your listeners, this is an easy game to play. Even if you have just 4 people and you guys are headed out you're at dinner, you can have a conversation one word at a time. Like 2 people can be a pair and the other 2 could be another pair, and have a conversation one word at a time, creating that sentence. It's super fun. All ages love this game, young, old. This is a great game. And you never know what somebody's going to say, and you have to be really fast. You have to react to it, and you can't hesitate. You can't look for the best word or the right answer because you're never going to find it. You just have to follow the word that preceded it as quickly as possible. Be a really good listener to help your team. And what's cool is when I play it, you saw it on stage, but sometimes I play it where the whole audience plays.
Wow.
And they get all excited when they say a sentence that makes sense or is funny or creative, and everybody's, celebrating and high-fiving.
Ta-da!
Ta-da! Because they did it together. And it's a great game to teach change, being open and flexible, being prepared, being a great listener. And what happens when we make those 3 very simple choices, how we work as a team, how effective we are, how creative we are, and the result is laughter and fun.
And this also leans into the idea of creativity, because you have to be a proactive listener, but at the same time, creativity plays a small part in it. And my question to you now is, how can leaders encourage their teams to tap into their creative minds and break out of the traditional ways, rigid ways of thinking?
Everybody's creative. Let's start with that. I
love that.
cannot stand when people say, I'm not creative. Well, what does that mean? You might not be able to, because you're not an artist, or you aren't a writer, or you can't play an instrument. That just means you can't play an instrument, or you're not an artist. Doesn't mean you're not creative. We're all creative. The person that makes a great meal is creative. The person that does a craft is creative. If you solve a problem, you're creative. That's our creative part of our mind. You solve the problem, and every person has to solve a problem at some point. I'm guessing multiple times during the day. And so, yes, you are creative. And I think as leaders, we have to reinforce that. One of the ways is to always appreciate the time spent on the idea, the time spent on the proposal. Because a lot of times ideas don't see the light of day. They don't end up happening. Doesn't mean that we don't want to keep creating ideas. We do. So let's reward the time spent creating the idea, and then we're going to get that time again and again. But if we don't reward that time, if we say, oh, that's a bad idea, or that idea won't work, we don't have the money, we don't have the budget, we don't have the people, eventually the team member is going to stop giving ideas because they're not receiving any reward. They're just hearing no, 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 no. And then that affects them. They attach that idea to them personally. And then they're going to stop giving ideas. And so we need to appreciate the team member, and we need to appreciate the time spent creating the idea. The other thing that leaders, I think, the other important item is ideas want energy. They want momentum. When you're working together with somebody and somebody comes up with the idea and you go, oh, what if we do this? And then you start building on each other's idea. You guys, you've created this momentum, this energy. And that's what creativity wants. It wants energy and it wants positive support. And if you take it away, then the creativity will die. It's just like a plant. If you take water and sunlight away, the plant's going to die. If you take energy and positive support away from creativity, it's going to wither.
Joel, I want to take you back in time now. We've been talking about creativity. It's time to put your mind at work. My question to you is, if I could take you back in time to my age, when you were 17, Keeping in mind everything that you've accomplished so far and all the journey that let's say you were about to head on at this age, what would you say to self if you can go back in time and give yourself one advice?
Get a haircut. That would be my number one.
Get a hair.
What were you doing, Joel? I had like a mullet. Do you have mullets in Romania? I had a mullet.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it's not good. Also, I would tell myself, it's okay, work out a little bit, get a little muscle. Maybe I would tell myself that too.
That's funny.
When I was 17, I was a senior in high school. So it was my last year of high school before going to university. And I had a lot of big moments. One of them was the principal of the school. I had done this talent show for this competition, and I won the competition. And I did a little stand-up comedy. And the principal thought it'd be fun idea for me to do stand-up in front of the whole school. It was 2,000 students. Now, in the US, a high school this is 1986, there's a lot of, there's all kinds of different people. And a lot of them probably don't want to hear another kid do stand-up comedy, right? They're not as supportive as some of the other people. Or some people just don't like school and they're not going to be supportive of anything. And so somehow I was able to reach the whole audience and connect with everybody. And it was a pretty big moment in my life to do stand-up in front of 2,000 people, 2,000 students. And I was just doing impressions of like teachers and principals, and, but I was relating to them. That was important. You're relating to your audience. And, that was a very big moment. And I was trying to figure out, when I went off to university, I got a journalism degree. So I had these two worlds in my mind. I had this very responsible, I'm going to get a career and a job part of my mind. I'm going to get a degree in journalism. I'm going to be a newspaper reporter. And then the other half was a little more loose. The other half was like, well, you should let's go do comedy. Let's figure out, we should go do comedy. We got to figure this out. And so they kind of battled, and the responsible part of my mind won out for the most part. And so it was several years before I figured out how to incorporate my two worlds. And I'm very fortunate that I was able to do that and follow that passion. I would probably say to follow that, to be confident and follow that earlier, not be afraid to take that risk, to move somewhere, to do comedy. But, I always say this is what I was supposed to do. And this is keynote speaking and sharing these messages. And, I've spoken at maybe 2,500 different events. And then going on podcasts like this and sharing what improv taught me and my love of improv and what I think improv can teach others about teamwork and leadership and change and communication. This is what I'm meant to do. And I love it, and it's very fulfilling. And that's, I think I would tell my 17-year-old self. And I was always confident, and I was always loud too. I was very loud. I would probably tell my 17-year-old self, don't be so loud.
I guess that's why you're so good on stage. Even without a microphone, you can still...
Yeah. I tell my kids many times, Sonia, everything we have is because I'm loud. Everything is because I'm loud. And, but I think it's also being 17, you have the whole world in front of you. And as I tell my kids is, don't be afraid to take a risk. Don't be afraid to follow your dreams, because no matter what your dream is, someone is doing that dream. And they didn't just wake up and somebody knocked on the door and said, this is your dream. Here, you should do it. It's easy. They had to work at it, and it was a journey, and that journey is part of the process. So don't be afraid to take the risk. Don't be afraid to follow your dream, to believe in yourself, to also make sure that fun is your guiding light. Because when you're younger, most decisions in your life are based on this fun.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm sure most of your decisions, Sonia, is based on, is this fun? And you're not going to do it if it's not fun. And then as we get older, we start making decisions that aren't based on fun. They're small, little micro decisions. And they're based on family or relationships or career or money, and all of a sudden we start making these little decisions that aren't based on fun. They're based on something else. And all of a sudden we find ourselves in a spot in our lives and we're not passionate. We're not having fun. We're not energized. And that's depressing, right? That's why do that to yourself? We just have these short time in our lives. We're here just for a short time. Follow your fun. Believe in yourself, and fun should be a guiding light. And people ask me all the time, why don't you do this or why don't you do this? It's not because it's not going to be fun. I don't want to do that. Doesn't sound like fun. How come you don't coach executives? You could make a lot of money coaching executives. It doesn't sound like fun to me. I don't want to do that. Doesn't sound like fun.
And you're having a blast with what
I
you're
want to be
doing.
on stage in front of an audience sharing my improv. And so I think that try to hold on to that is that making those decisions that are based on fun.
Absolutely. Follow your dream, follow your fun. And now, Joel, I want to take you to the 2 Smarter podcast traditions that I have here. Let's go. Number 1 is I'm all for reading books. As you can see behind me, I have a full library full of books. My question for you is, what are the top 2 books that you would say completely transformed, changed your life?
The best book I ever read is my book.
Make the right choice.
Make the right choice. Lead with passion, elevate your team, and unleash the fun at work. This right here. That's the best. Ernest Hemingway, Mark Twain, nothing on this book right here. That's a very good question. And there's a lot of books that I think were a big part of my improv for the theater. The person who invented improv, her name was Viola Spolin. And she created improv in the late 30s, early 40s. And she wrote a book called Improv for the Theater. And so I think that if that book doesn't exist, then I don't exist. So, I mean, that right there is the Bible.
Make the right choice.
And yeah, that's a very important book to improv and a very important book to the art of improv. And so that's really, I think, a really important book, nonfiction.
Everybody should get their hands on it.
And
Number
fiction
2.
wise, I think a book that really affected me when I was young was Catcher in the Rye by J.D. Salinger. Just being independent and going to find yourself and going on a journey. I think that that was an important book that I read. When I was young, I loved Mark Twain. And I always say one of Mark Twain's quotes is, tell them what you're going to tell them. Tell them what you told them. And that's a guiding light when I speak, is I'm going to tell them what you're going to tell them. Tell them what you're going to tell them, and then tell them what you told them.
I love that quote. And real quick, the last question. The Smarter podcast tradition is I asked the previous guest to leave a question for the next one. And so my last guest, Sangeeta Waldron, left over this question for you. What quick and easy tip or joke would you suggest to someone to help break the ice at a work event?
Okay. This is the question that I prepared the most for. And I think I just focused on the word joke.
You're excited for this. I can't wait to hear it.
I just focused on the word joke. So part of the question is about tip for this or tip for that. And I'm like, we've done enough tips. We're going to focus on the joke.
All right.
Okay?
Let's hear it.
So that's what I read into this question, that you needed a joke to tell. You ready?
I'm ready.
All right. 2 biscuits are in an oven, and one biscuit says to the other biscuit, is it me? Or is it getting hot in here? And then the other biscuit says, a talking biscuit! That's a good joke. You don't like the joke?
It was not what I was expecting. Let's start there.
What? There's there's two biscuits in the oven, and one biscuit says to the other, it's getting hot in here because they're the heat in the oven. And the other biscuit says, a talking biscuit. That was my favorite joke when my kids were younger. That cracked them up.
I think that's one way to end.
Sonia, this was my absolute favorite podcast interview. I'm very proud of you. And it's awesome
so
that
much.
you have done this and to help other people of your age and to reach out because a lot of times young people don't search out this type of information and knowledge. And certainly, and it's awesome that I'm in the US and you're in the Romania and you're in Romania, not the Romania,
No.
Romania. And it's just, it's very inspiring and it's really awesome. Kind of gives me hope.
You do as well. I mean, thank you so much for being on the podcast. It's absolutely been a pleasure. You've taken me through quite some journey playing your harmonica, leading me to what made you find your fun and your experience in teaching other people with what the TADA moment is and what is making the right choice. And I truly wish you all the best of luck in whatever you've got coming for the future.
Thank you, and I appreciate the opportunity, and I wish you great success. And I know you're going to just be crushing for years to come. And someday I'm gonna go, I was on her podcast as you're like getting the Nobel Peace Prize or something, or
Thank you so much.
you're winning a Pulitzer or something. I'm like, I was on her podcast when she was 17. So I'm very, very honored. And I always say, it's the world is it's the youth. This is your time to lead the world and into what we want to be. And we have much more in common across the world. And if we just talk to each other and respect each other, it's going to be a better place. And so having conversations like this kind of gives me hope that there's awesome young people that are going to lead the world to a great place. And so it's just a real honor to be on your podcast.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. This was amazing. Ta-da! Let's clap again.
Ta-da!
Ta-da! We've come to the end. Thank you so much for being on the podcast. It's been a pleasure. Bye-bye, Joel.
Bye.
How did that feel? Have you laughed? I think I surely have. Now, what I wanted to end with was just repeat the 2 books that he said if you didn't quite catch them, and the surprise that I've been telling you throughout. Number 1, his 2 favorite life-changing books that, let's say, shifted his perspective are, number 1, his own book, Make the Right Choice by Zeff. And number 2, The Catcher in the Rye, which is a classic. It's fiction. You can find both of them down below. As a little homework for the next 2 weeks, I want to give you a challenge to incorporate the TADA moment at least 3 times this week. Make it 5, once every single day, if not even. Find one reason which you are proud of yourself in doing every single day, for finding your fun, for finding your passion, because everybody's creative. Everybody's got that creative spark in themselves. I wish you the best week. And if nobody tells you this today, I want to be the first that tells you that I believe in you and your ability to create the life of your dreams. I'm Sonia Marta, and you've listened to the Marta podcast. Until next time, bye-bye.